I've been in the industry for 30 years. Majority of that, I used to manage the second largest company in New South Wales, Masterton. So I was the general manager. I ran that business for about 18 years. Then I decided to start my own company, which we did after I left Masterton. And where Trent Connection sits today, it's in the top 10 builders in New South Wales. And Australia-wide, there's 34,000 builders, and we are ranked number 75 in Australia. Very large building company. So what I wanted to focus on today is a bit of understanding of how to go about choosing the right builder. Okay, so from my point of view, I'm going to be speaking like yourself as being the client and not a builder. All right, so I'm talking now as a customer, and the customer has to have a certain understanding of what building is all about, right? So building a house is a big decision, and it would be one of the biggest investment that you would make in your life, right? And can be time consuming, but it's a well-spent time if you do your homework and do your homework correctly. So never rush into a contract without fully understanding what you're going to be signing and what you're going to be committing to. You want to remember the journey. It's a pretty complex process of selecting, going through a tender, contract, building, handover. So it's a very complex process. But what you want to make sure that the builder you choose, that the journey is a happy journey. And a journey with a smile as you enjoy your new home for years to come. It is a complex process, so select carefully who you go with. Now, you want to make sure also that the builder you choose is the builder that's going to be around for a long, long time. Because it's a big investment, and a house, right, basically stands there for 50, 60 years. It's not something that you buy and it's obsolete in 3 or 4 years' time, all right? So it's a big investment, and make sure you choose correctly. But more importantly, you want to make sure that the builder's around for your warranty periods, which is non-structural 2, structural 6 years. So really, it comes back to the question is, how would I go about choosing a builder? So what I wanted to do, first of all, explain to you what the law is and how you are governed by the law and how the builder's governed by the law, but then go through key areas where I think I should be looking at when I choose my own builder. So just in New South Wales alone, just to let you know, there are 14,000 builders that are registered. That's a lot of builders, right? And the majority of the builders that are registered are defined as small builders. They're the ones that would do, say, 5, 10, 15, 20 houses a year. And also in the recent years, because we've had a growth in our market, there's been a lot of builders that have come into the industry, making a lot of promises, and they're the ones that you have to be very, very careful of. Now, the building industry is regulated, very heavily regulated, and I'll go onto that on the next page. But basically, builders that do renovation work, less than $20,000, basically are restricted on their license, but they don't have to provide you with any warranty. But building, residential building, it's what we do, are building that cost more than $20,000. Everything is regulated, but more importantly, there are insurances that we have to provide, and the insurances are governed by the New South Wales government, and how many houses a builder can build, and that's subject to his experience, the size of the business, their financial strength, and so on and so on. I'll come back more into that. So basically that insurance, which most of us probably understand it as homeowners warranty insurance, it's funded by the state government, it's funded by the Treasury, and it's something that the builder qualifies for, and it's something that the builder has to issue you with a copy before you can get approval to build. So the industry is fairly well regulated by the New South Wales government, and it falls under the Consumer Act, and that was established in 1989. And the reason why they did that was we had a lot of mums and dads that were investing their money with a builder, and the builder was going under or broke, and they were losing all their savings, right? So it was a major risk. So the government changed the rules and put some strict regulations, and they appointed a department called Fair Trading to administer the Act, right? So all builders, it doesn't matter what size you are in this industry, we all have to comply by this Act. Right? So, and the Act, what covers things is it covers areas like the contract, the cooling off periods, the maximum deposit that we can take on a contract. It looks at progress claims, how the money is going to be claimed through the construction phases. It talks about terms and conditions of the contract, the licensing of the builder that's required. It talks about supervision, trades, statutory warranties that are provided as part of the building, which I mentioned, the 2 to 6 year periods. The tribunal powers, all the procedures, but also it's a protection net for you consumers. So if anything goes wrong and there's a dispute between the builder and the owner, they act as the arbitrator before it goes to court. So most times, if there's a dispute, it's resolved by the tribunal before it needs to go to court. All right? So all building works, which is what we do as builders, build a house, right? We, as a business, we must have a license. So the company itself, the entity, must have a license. The second thing, the company must have a nominated supervisor who's an experienced builder that must be registered with that company for the company actually then to be granted a license to build. And also, the other most important thing, it has to have eligibility for homeowner's warranty. It's called HBCF insurance, and it's controlled by the New South Wales government. So every builder, depending on your size, you must provide financial information to the state government on an annual basis. That is reviewed, and based on your performance, your experience, and your capability, then they give you eligibility on how many houses you can build per year. So they restrict the size of the builders, subject to their performance, their capacity, and their financial strength. And builders, for every project they do, they must apply for that policy, and on that policy they provide your name, the address of the property that you're going to be building, and the contract value, and then the government then will issue that insurance policy, which then the builder then will provide you with a copy of it, and that is your security if anything happens to the builder. So by law, the contract has to be produced for every job that we do. And the contract contains checklists that are defined by, again, New South Wales government and fair trading. They are extremely strict on this. And what the government does, and I bought a copy because I'll go through the slides in a minute, but I bought a copy. So it's basically a consumer building guide. And this building guide, every builder must give you a copy of it, and you have to read and understand it before you sign a building contract. The reason for this is to protect you guys, making sure that you understand what you're signing, but more importantly, understand what are the risks associated with choosing a builder. And I'll go through that in more detail. So, as I said, you are protected, but also the liability is on you to make sure that before you commit or sign with a builder, you understand, number one, who the builder is, what their capability are, what their capacity are to deliver, and more importantly is that they're going to be around for a long, long time in case something does go wrong with your house. All right? By the way, I just wanted to read, actually, there's a clause in here that's important. It talks, this is the guide that you're given by the government, and it talks about common traps and tricks to be aware of. So there are points that the government raises in regard to the things that you have to be concerned in. One of them, it says, an extremely low code compared with others. This is an indication that the job quality is being compromised, or that the builder might not fully understand what is required. So these guides will actually guide you in making sure that you select the correct builder. So the guide that I just went through, this is a copy of it. So a builder, before you sign a contract, must give you a copy of that. You have to read and understand it. It's a 2-page document, very simple to read. And the other thing is, they also have to provide you with this checklist, and this checklist, they have to present it to you. They have to qualify every point on this checklist, And every point has to be ticked as a yes before you actually sign a building contract. Again, I'm using this as an example, trying to explain to you guys that at the end of the day, it is a regulated industry, and you have to make sure that you have a clear understanding of who the builder is, what their capacity is, what their capability are, what they're offering you, what you are getting as part of your package before you sign any documents. And this consumer checklist guides you through it. And also Fair Trading makes, on their webpage, has got all the questionnaires that you need to ask your builder before you sign a document with your builder. And that's available on the Fair Trading webpage. And it's all to do with their licensing, their example of work, their capacity. It also talks about who's going to supervise your job, what area do you build in. So questionnaires like that. They talk about making sure that all the insurances are in place. So that's important, to make sure that they are insured, to make sure they cover you guys, so the liability doesn't go back on you. So I mentioned homeowners warranty, and this is a protection that the state government put in many, many years ago to protect the consumers, to ensure that in case a builder goes insolvent, he dies, becomes bankrupt, or loses their license. So what is a safety net is to make sure that at the end of the day, you as a consumer are not out of pocket, right? So that's why every builder must be eligible for homeowners warranty, and every builder must provide you with an insurance policy from the government to protect you against in case of insolvencies or the builder not being around, okay? So, and that dictates the capacity of a builder, that dictates the experience of a builder, because they limit it to their ability, how many houses they can build per year. I won't go through the sales process. The other thing is just to explain to you, and that's why it's important to choose the right builder, because building, number one, getting approval is not a simple process. So in New South Wales, there are 9 planning approval options. Now, most of the areas that we work in, we work under 2 areas, which is the compliant development and the local development approvals. So one is called, probably you've heard of it, it's called CDC. The other one is a DA, which is a development application through councils, right? But it is a complicated process of getting approval. Again, choosing the right builder is extremely important to make sure they guide you through this without having any problems. So this is my opinion on how to choose the right builder. So it is not something that you can read out of a book. So it's from my experience on how you go about choosing the right builder. Now, I myself have experience building with a small builder, and I have experience building with a large builder, and I've experienced working and managing big companies, right? I'll share my experience with you when I just got married, and we bought a block of land, and we wanted to find a builder to build a house for us. So we went with a small builder, but it wasn't an easy process. So it was constantly chasing. They didn't have the systems, they didn't have the processes. But even when the house was finished, prior to handover, the appliances got stolen. The builder then said, that's my problem. My problem as the owner, that's not his problem. At that time, I didn't have the keys, so the liability was on him. So I had to go and hire a lawyer. Lawyer had to make a few phone calls before he agreed to replace the appliances. So it was a nightmare. The second time I did an investment property, I decided to go with a big builder. It was a major brand name. I'm not going to mention their name. But I can tell you, it was managed beautifully. It was project managed seamlessly through the whole approval process. I just signed a contract and they managed everything, got me everything approved. They built a beautiful house, and the experience of the whole process was easy, simple, seamless, and I was a happy client. So there's a comparison of myself being through the process of going through a small builder, not enough experience, versus a big builder who had all the systems and the processes together. Okay? So to me, I always look at it and say, if I'm going to go invest my money and it's a big investment, who do I go with? Of course, I would go with the most experienced builders in the industry, right? So I make sure my builder has experience in the residential, not commercial, because builder licenses can fall under different categories. A commercial builder can build residential properties, but to me, if I'm going to build a house, I want to make sure that my builder is experienced in that field of building me as a residential property. The second thing, I want to make sure that the builder is experienced in what they're selling me or what I'm going to be buying from them. So if they're experienced in home and land, and I'm buying a home and land, I will go with a builder that's experienced in home and land. If I'm building a luxury house, I'll make sure that I actually go with a builder who builds luxury homes. I won't go with a builder who just builds basic houses. Does that make sense? So choose your builder depending on what field you're going into or what market you're going into. The third thing is the builder, I look at how many years experience. Not just experience as a company, but experience people that are running that business. Do they have 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year, 30 year experience? So experience of the people and the company is extremely important to ensure that they deliver the product at the quality, at the high level of finishes, and more importantly, a seamless process throughout. Also, what I would do is these days with social media, I would have a look at the posts, I would have a look at the reviews. I want to make sure that I'm going with a builder that have got good reviews and not average or below average reviews. And also the other thing is I want to make sure that I go with a builder who's built a lot of houses, who has got the experience and they've delivered the product day in, day out. It comes back to the definition of I would prefer to go with a larger builder and not a small backyard builder. When I say larger builder, by the way, I'm not meaning a builder that builds a couple of hundred houses a year. It can be, 50 homes or 100 homes a year, and that's the definition of a major builder. But I want to make sure that the builder's been in business for many years. I want to make sure that the builder's experienced and more importantly experienced staff, especially, the supervisors that he's got working for themselves, because at the end of the day, the people that actually build your house is the project supervisor that work for that builder. And the more experienced people he has, the better product you will get. The other thing with going with the major builders, all of them, including us, we have contracts, supply agreements with all our major contractors, with all our major suppliers. They're all based on price, performance, quality, warranty. Everything is covered in that respect. But also, you get the opportunity that there's guarantees on performance, deliveries, and that gives us the opportunity to become a VIP client of theirs. So in case there are shortages on material supplies or there is a problem out on site, we get the priorities, right? And that's important to be able to deal with. The big companies, they've got all these in places. They also have commercial agreements with contractors that protect us for the long term and the warranties, right? Because they are around. They're going to be around for a long, long time. They're not backyarders that they're in today and gone tomorrow. And the other thing is, it gives us, as being a large business, minimise the supply of goods due to market changes, and especially today. I mean, we are in a very difficult situation of getting supplies, especially from overseas, because of this COVID issue that we've got. And the other thing is we've had a major shortages on timber supplies. So our frames at the moment are causing us a major problem in the industry. But it doesn't cause problems for our major builders because they've got supply agreements and they've got guarantees, so they get priorities. So it doesn't affect us. What it does affect is all the smaller builders that don't have agreements in place, so they don't get supplies. So there's a delay, there'll be a delay on your projects because they don't have the commitments and the guarantees. The other thing going with a major builder is all the insurances, all the risks, everything associated with the building is the responsibility of the builder. And these builders make sure that every insurance by law that's required, they have got it in place. Because at the end of the day, we get audited as major builders, and we have to make sure that we've complied with everything to do with the homeowner's warranty, the contract insurance, all the built risk insurances, the public liability, the workers' comp. So there's many insurances that we cover. That covers the builder, but more importantly, it covers you, because it's still at your site, it's your construction site. If something goes wrong on your site, there's a liability back on you. But if you go with the major builders, they have all the insurances in places, so they are actually, you are protected by them. Okay? The other thing, if I'm going to choose a builder, I want to make sure that I choose a builder that's financially stable. They've got a strong balance book. They've been around for a long, long time. And the reason why I want to do that is I want to make sure that, especially in today's market, it is a competitive market. There's a lot of builders out there discounting their product, underselling their product. These are the types of builders that will get caught, because now we're in a rising market where our costs are going up because of shortages, shortage of labour, shortage of material. But cheap prices are not sustainable in the long term. And the other thing to understand, when you get a best price in town, but if the builder is not experienced, he's not experienced, what you'll end up with is a nightmare. You'll get a very, very cheap product and basically no warranties, because it just becomes then a hassle taking him through tribunal, taking him through court, trying to get your problems all rectified and fixed. So I would prefer to go with a large builder who's stable and has got a good name in the marketplace. The other thing is, and you always hear this, we all offer fixed price, but there is different definition of a fixed price. If what I call a fixed price, what other builder calls a fixed price is different, right? So if you're offered a fixed price, which I want as a builder, as an owner, if I'm buying a home and land package, I want to make sure whatever I agree to as a price today is what I pay when the house is finished. I don't want any surprises, right? So when you're buying a home and land and it's got a fixed price, what I want to make sure it's that I obtain a detailed tender. Now, a tender is basically an offer. I want to make sure in that offer there are no hidden provision allowances that I can be trapped in later on once the land gets registered. The other thing, I want to make sure that the tender has time frames that suits the land registration, because you don't want a tender that has got a definite time frame, because if that definite time frame expires and your land is not registered, you'll be liable for a price increase automatically. So be careful of that. I want to make sure that the tender is realistic and inclusive of all the items that I've been told or agreed to, part of the package, and at the end of the day, there is no exclusions to my tender. Everything is included. I want to make sure that I fully understand the content, even if I have to ask as many questions as you want to ask, but make sure you fully understand it before you commit to it and sign it. And tender might be higher quite at the outset, so you might get a tender and compare it against a small builder and you think, oh, this sounds a little bit expensive. But you can be confident that it is a true fixed price from a major builder and it's realistic, and there's going to be no nasty surprises through the construction process and the handover. Okay, so whatever price you're given up front is what we will deliver at the end. The other thing is, when I'm choosing a builder that's going to build for me as part of my investment, I'm going to make sure that the builder builds in that area that I'm committing to. There's no need to commit to a builder who has got no trades, it's got no supervision in that area. It's just going to delay your project and it's going to create problems down the track. So make sure that when you select a builder and you want to build, for example, at Austral, you make sure that that builder covers that area and has got experience in that area, and he's got the trades and the supervision in that area. Choose the builder who's well represented. So if I was you, I'd drive around and have a look at the signs on the fences and see if that builder is really well represented in the area. That's important. And if you choose builders out of that area, as I said, it'll delay your project, it'll add extra cost, might be quality issues because he's using trades he's never used before, so you run the risk. So I just want to conclude, as I said, it's one of the biggest investments that you're going to make. It is a very complicated process. There's a lot of regulations and rules that the builder and the owner has to comply with. Most of you don't have experience in this area, so you trust and rely on the builder. So the choice of the builder is the most important thing that you can ever do in making sure that you get the right product at the end of the day. So my last statement in summary, it's vital to get the right builder for your project who will deliver what you want for a fixed price, which is important, and with a level of service that you need and deserve as a client, right? You want a builder that you can trust and invest with, and in turn, they will deliver, more importantly, a happy journey, a great product with low risks, and we'll be there for a long term for warranties and after-sales service if you need them. So it's a big investment. Choose wisely, choose the right builder, and from my experience, the major builders are the way to go.